Hello crafters and welcome back to the Scrap and Stamp YouTube channel for another tutorial Thursday with me, Deepa from Designs by Dee. So today we are going to be creating an art journal page, but we are going to turn this page into a card, which I think is a really fun idea. And I also have a little fun on the inside of the card too. So let's take a look at the products that we're going to be using, and there's a whole slew of them. We're going to start with the Dragonfly Greetings die set from the Crafty Canuck. We've also got the Lavender Sprigs die set, and this is the Many Thanks with Shadow die set from the Crafty Canuck. You can see there's 3 different sentiments here with a shadow die for each of them. And then I've also got some of these products from Woodware Craft Collections. I have a stencil, and then I've got these 2 stamp sets, which I thought go really well with the dragonfly and the rest of the theme of the dies that we have here. We are going to be using some matte texture paste, so we will need a palette knife and then some ink colors of your choice to do some ink blending and add pops of beautiful vibrant color. So I did show you I have 2 pieces of cardstock there. One is the normal smooth for our ink blending that we're going to do for our background, and this one is watercolor cardstock, so it has a bit of texture to it, and I really liked that texture and I thought that it would go well with the mixed media theme of this card. So I'm using this one to stamp out this little like telegraph stamp here. I'm just stamping it with some black VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm going to just cut this out. There is no die for this one, or there isn't one that I have, but it's okay. It is just a typical square rectangular shape. So I can go ahead and just cut this off, keeping in mind that I keep the edges the same width. I'll put that to the side, and then I'm going to use the remaining piece of that watercolor cardstock to cut out the die cuts that we're going to be using here. So I'm using the dragonfly there. I've also got that lined piece as well, along with the lavender sprigs. Now, keep in mind, this lined piece has all of these extra strips that come out of it as the negative piece. You can keep that and use that on your card front as well if you really wanted to. I didn't end up using it. I did intend to, but I completely forgot. But that is something to keep in mind. So you're using everything that you have. I did keep it aside in the back of my packaging for another project for later, but I thought that it was really fun to know that I could use every part of that die cut. On top of that, I did cut out some of those die cuts from black cardstock as well. So moving on, I'm just creating a fun multicolor ink blended background, and I'm not like paying any attention to how well I'm blending these colors together. I'm just kind of dabbing color here and there. I've got Distress Oxide inks and Prize Ribbon, Cracked Pistachio, and Seedless Preserves. And you'll see I'm not covering the entire panel either. I'm just kind of putting the color where I want to, and there's still some white showing through. So you don't have to be too exact with it. And that's what I like about mixed media. You don't have to be so precise and be so perfect with it. You just kind of have fun and go with it. And this is something that I've had to learn to do because I am a bit of a perfectionist at heart. So to kind of come out of my comfort zone and just do things that don't make any sense in my brain, it actually relaxes your brain. It's really good therapy for you. So I would definitely, if you haven't done mixed media or journaling or anything like this before, give it a try. It is such a different feeling and fun to do. So I have taken that kind of page stamp. It's like a notebook type stamp with the butterfly, and I stamped part of it out on the left. I used the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I took a couple of the smaller sentiments there and I stamped those out as well in the right side. Now I'm using my texture paste and that stencil, which is like a pebble type, like a cobblestone kind of look. So I've gone ahead and I've just added some of this in just different areas. You don't have to cover the entire thing. You could do just one side of it. It's completely up to you. And you'll notice, because in my mind, I want to kind of put more of those die cuts in the center, I did have that texture paste more off to the edges and the sides of that card panel. So I've put that aside to dry now because it will need a little, it doesn't need too long, but it needs just a little bit for that texture paste to set. And now I'm taking those white watercolor cardstock die cuts, and I'm adding the same color inks that I used on the background. So again, the prize ribbon, seedless preserve, and the cracks pistachio. And I'm just kind of mixing and matching these colors. I'm going, it's totally on a whim. As I'm going, I'm just doing it. I'm not really thinking about it too much. I think even for those lavender bits, I did add a little bit of the prize ribbon blue at the top. So it's got like a deeper purple at the top. It's not a different color. I just mixed colors. So I will put those to the side along with the black die cuts that I have. And now for the sentiment, I've cut out the many thanks from some black glitter and some gold glitter cardstock. I will layer those in a second, but before I do, I'm going to go ahead and just cut down my panel a tiny bit because I do want a little bit of a border around the edge when I put it onto my card base. So now I can put together these two pieces for the sentiment. Now, I could have just stuck with the black, but I felt that it would get lost with the black that we have in the background and also those black die cuts as well. So I thought that the gold glitter cardstock behind it might help that sentiment kind of stand out just a little bit more. And I'm not at this point actually sure how I'm going to fit this on my card with everything that I want to put on it, but it's there and ready to go when I'm ready to use it. So I've got a black piece of cardstock. This is A2 size, so 5.5 by 4.25. Recall that we cut down our panel, so we've got a nice little border around that panel. So the panel was 4 inches by 5.5, and I am attaching this to my white side folding card base, which again is A2 sized. So next thing I'm going to do is start building up these die cuts on here. So I've got the black die cut of that that stripped kind of panel there. You know what it kind of looks like? It looks like the staff, or I can't even remember what it's called, for music, where, you know, all the notes are kind of on there. So that is like a fun idea. I think there are other sets within the store that have music notes, which would probably look good with this. I've got that stamp that we stamped out that I'm going to add here, that telegraph stamp, and I'm going to overlap it there with on the black die cut. I'm going to add the larger dragonfly at the top here. And I'm just visually placing it where I see fit. I'm trying not to cover up too much of what I've got in the background, but still have what I want visible to be visible. And for me, I really want those dragonflies to be visible. I want that stamp to be visible and the texture paste. So I've also got these leaf fronds. I'm adding those in there too. The ink blended one. I've got the lavender sprigs. I decided I'd add some of these black die cut ones here just to kind of create more contrast with all that color. And as any card, just go ahead and place things as you see fit. I've cut down that lavender sprig and I'm going to kind of insert it behind that telegraph stamp. And I've also got another sprig here down at the bottom. I figured it would contrast nicely with that black die cut there as well. And then I'm trying to figure out where to put my sentiment and realizing the sentiment is pretty big and I don't want to cover up everything here because it looks so pretty. And I can't find a spot for it as hard as I try. So I think, okay, maybe I can cut off the many and just keep the thanks. So I'm carefully cutting off the top part of that sentiment. Very carefully. I probably should have used some smaller scissors to do this because it might have been easier to do. But it looks like that's good and I can maybe add the thanks there. But in the end, I decided that I didn't want to cover up that front. It looked so pretty on its own. I decided to put the thanks on the inside of the card. And then I still had another lavender frond here. So I thought that I'd pull the design from the front into the center of the card. And I'm just kind of adding this here. So there's still lots of space here for you to write a message or whatever it is that you'd like. So this is definitely a nice art journal thank you card. So that finishes up the full design, but let's add some extra details on this just to make it pop and shine a little more. I've got some Nuvo shimmer drops here, and I'm just going to add this to the dragonfly, just to the edge of the dragonfly wings on both of the dragonflies to give it a bit of shimmer and glimmer and a bit of shine. I added it and I figured it was too subtle. So I grabbed some of my gold stickles here and I'm actually adding that at the edge as well. And you can see that the shine kind of pops a little more and you can see more of it with that stickles. So I would still add the Nouveau shimmer because it looks really nice, but I think that this creates just another fine edge with that stark gold glitter, which looks good too. And it also matches the thanks on the inside of the card, which I actually didn't even notice till I started doing this voiceover for you. My final element is going to be some like light green confetti sequins here, which I'm just going to add in and around just randomly on this design to add another element of shine. And I think that pretty much finishes this one up here. So I really implore you to experiment with mixed media and journaling, and you can always make it into a card like we've done here today. Everything I've used has been linked down in the description below, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe and join us for Tutorial Thursday next week. Have a great day, guys, and hope to see you again. Bye.